All right. Hello, this is Coach Tim Campso, and I'm the host of our Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we're talking with successful small business owners to hear about their stories of their journey to building their business. And because we know that achieving success in business is not something that we do on our own, we're recognizing the folks that have helped us to excel. Today, I'm excited to have a fellow Indiana business owner from the technology industry with us today. My guest is the co-founder of Ceemless, located here in Indianapolis. He has coached 150 businesses and started 5 businesses himself. He has trained over 10,000 business owners and salespeople on how to build strategic relationships and create pipelines of ongoing business growth. Please join me today in welcoming Tony to our show. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here, Tim.
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's start with sharing a little bit about your background, maybe where you were born, where you live, some information about your family, hobbies, and also introduce yourself so that I don't butcher your last name.
Yeah, Tony Scelzo here. Appreciate you having me. Originally from Michigan, came to town, opened in restaurants. That was the first business I've been in. Saw that my buddies in technology were working a lot more for a lot less, or making a lot more for a lot less of time than I was doing in the restaurant business, and really tried to figure out how to commit to get into technology over 20 some years ago. And the rest has been kind of a made for TV movie. We've started a lot of businesses. I think our joke is we're 7 for 11. So now on my last hopeful hurrah, that we're executing the Ceemless venture. Sorry, we had an alarm going off in the background. My food is ready. And so yeah, it's been now we're trying to help keep the promise of technology, for mid-market businesses, because we feel like that's just been underserved. But yeah. So I'm for lack of better terms, a serial entrepreneur, which is both bad and good, right? Bright and shiny object disease is definitely one of my problems. But I've had people like you along the way that I've really used to complement my energy to build organizations. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Fantastic. So your hobby, I know one of the things you love is golf. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm an avid golfer. I had a friend tell me that he wanted to pick up a game at 45 years old. And I said, why would you do that to yourself? It's like the worst decision you can make, both financially and physically and emotionally. But yeah, so I love playing with a little bit of wager on the game, and the competitive trait set that brings out. I love playing against my buddies who feel the same way. So yeah, 2 girls, 14 and 16. So we have, 2 teenagers, which is always pretty interesting these days. So yeah, keep running.
So Tony, tell us a story that your family tells about you that you'd be willing to share.
Probably the running joke is how many times I've lost my wallet. Or left it somewhere. I tend to get focused on what I'm trying to do in business. It seems like every other year I run out of gas because I'm thinking about where I need to be next or what I'm trying to do. So yeah, people would say forgetful. I call it really focused.
So did you get one of those air tags and put it in your wallet?
Yeah. Yep. We're doing it. Yep. Definitely. Yeah. Awesome. Got that, and then putting that on the next thing I'm getting is one for the keys too.
Nice. So tell us a little bit more about how you came about to be a business owner. At what point in your life did you have the confidence to run your own business?
Well, I got like most people, I backed into it. I was working for somebody that I was on commission, and she failed to pay the commissions. And I was thinking to myself, well, I could not, or actually she bounced 2 checks in a row, commission checks. And I said, well, I can bounce my own checks if I'm gonna be in business. I might as well take my chance on my own. And that's literally a buddy of mine who was probably more entrepreneurial than me. Thought that I would be a good complement to him as a sales arm, and we started our first digital marketing firm together, and that was 20 some years ago. So yeah, it's been a while. So literally backed into. I originally didn't have the confidence. Doug Edge was, and who I literally just talked to him for an hour and a half yesterday. Is still a good friend of mine, and is the executive vice president of Farm Journal Media out of Chicago. He's got a big job. He was in before that. He had owned a country and western store. Actually owned two of them at one time. Yeah. And was an on-air personality. So Doug and I did our first .com together. We bled blood in the same mud. So as they say, and so it's one of those people that I, to this day, if I'm working on a concept or if a connection is, referring us business and vice versa. I mean, it just got one of you think I have a high quick start. He's the only person I've met that has a 10 quick start. So his shiny object disease is even worse than mine.
That's funny. So Tony, you said that you got into business because of the bouncing of the check, but what gave you the confidence that you could do it?
Well, to the point Doug asked me, right? He thought that we would be good together, and so that vote of confidence was really the first step of what I needed. Yeah. The second person that really made that impact was a gentleman by the name of Brian Gray, who has a company called Revenue Path right now. That's digital marketing, and he was my first coach. I helped him, and literally couldn't afford a coach, but he had traded a market, basically a digital marketing strategy, for me coaching him that way, for him to coach me in business. And the thing I was most scared of was the accounting and sending invoices. And, he showed me, it's like, here's 5 people who can do this for you for a couple $100 a month. Yeah. And then you don't have to think about it. And it sounds as stupid as it sounds today. That was one of the barriers that I had for doing it myself.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit more about your new adventure, Ceemless.
Yeah, so we're a technology enablement company, right? We help the average business, large small businesses to small enterprises leverage technology, people, and process. And so what does that mean? So great example is I have a pool company that I'm working with that Amazon is encroaching on their business, right? Because people they can go and buy cheap chemicals through Amazon. And so we're helping them create a competitive strategy where we're starting to install sensors into pools, integrate that into a mobile app, and talk to allow the customer to approve us, sending chemical, installing, doing repair, all the above service offerings and to differentiate themselves from, even what other pool companies are doing, right? To create a seamless, pun intended, customer service experience. And, that requires a general contractor mentality from a technology standpoint. You've got to know a little bit about IoT selection. You've got to know a little bit about custom software integration. You've got to know a little bit about their ecosystem now, and then you've got to get it to work together in a cost-effective manner. And so we're the GC in that situation. We would go in there like a McKinsey or a Deloitte. We're just doing it for a company that McKinsey and Deloitte would never talk to.
Right. Fantastic. Awesome. So how long has this been, this new business venture been on?
Just 2 years.
Fantastic. Yeah. And what's one of the biggest ahas you've had so far?
Finding the right partners, right? Leveraging the right executives on the right team. That's been the greatest breakthroughs and the biggest challenge. We made some mistakes along the way there, and we've now got it right. And as you start to get it right, it's amazing how the business kind of takes off, right? The results start to prove out themselves.
Yeah, fantastic. So Tony, tell us about a time where someone pushed you or inspired you to do something that maybe you didn't think you could do, and how that worked out for you.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. When early on, when we started, one of the first digital marketing firm we started, we created an event called Rainmakers, and it was a free event that basically was a, for lack of better things, we called it a drinking group with a networking problem. But it was one of the better tickets in town for business networking, and I had a little bit of a following, probably was doing 150 to 200 people a month at an event, and I went. I had an advisory board that I had put together for people that were helping me, invite other business owners to it. And I said, guys, I think we need to make this a business. And there's an argument to this day of who the first members were of Rainmakers, but we, from that day on, Lorraine Ball was one of our first. She became our first president. But it was that vote of confidence that something that we had created was bigger than you, and other people saw enough value that they were volunteering to cut a check for it, which was pretty amazing.
That is awesome, and it has now lived beyond you. So you've created something that could carry the spirit even as you've moved on. Well, that's awesome.
At our peak, we got to 1,700 small business members. It was. I don't know what they're at now, but it's still going. So it's almost 20 years later, and to your point, to see the ultimate expression of a business is to build a system that lives beyond the founder, right? That grows and creates. So that's what we're trying to do here at Ceemless, is to create a factory that does that. For and with our partners. But as you say, that you talk about all the time in your coaching, is that's our job, right? Is to build a system that creates value beyond us.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the Rainmakers legacy. That's awesome. So what's been your biggest learning as a business owner?
I think it really goes back to that. It's all about the team. It takes a team. If it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a city to raise a business, right? You've got to know running a business is a constant evolution of personal awareness, because it's nothing more than an expression of your strengths and your faults, right? And so, being okay to be around people that make you not okay, because they're talented and smarter at things that you're not, is 90% of the battle. That's I've been on your side of the camera enough to know, where you give people an assessment on their talents, and they keep hiring the exact same human, which is a replica of themselves, right? Yeah. Like attracts like is a hard thing to really get past in a business. There's all kinds of studies that do this. There's a book out called The Who, where it's a private equity firm that does nothing but look at executive teams and place the complementing COO or CRO to exponentially grow the business, and they are never wrong. It's amazing track record, right? Just getting the right human in those organizations can blow them up. So right people on the team, right seat of the bus, all the cliches that you hear. It's amazing to me how right that is.
Yeah, I coach a few clients who are couples, right? They're married and co-owners of the business, and we use DISC as to do what you've just described. And it's almost every time I have the conversation of, look at the cliche of opposites attract is true. Your spouse is your opposite, and they drive you crazy at times based on what you've just shared with me, but they also fill your gap, right? They complete you. And the sooner that you can embrace that, right, and understand that you do need your opposite, the better off that the business is going to be, and the better off that the relationship is going to be, right?
Yeah, for sure, right?
So Tony, you've already alluded to this a couple times, but we know that success doesn't happen in isolation. So tell us one of your biggest challenges throughout the years, and who is a fellow business owner who helped you get through that?
You know, well, this one is, you know, COVID. We started in the initial COVID years, so this has been the one that was one of the biggest challenges I've ever been through in business. I think it was traumatic for a lot of business owners. You know, my partner's business went from 450 a month to 70,000 a month in less than 20 days, right? So I think, you know, Mike Kelly, who's our partner, who's one of the partners in Ceemless in our fast tech company. I mean, I can't even dollarize the impact that he's had, and from an advice standpoint, from, you know, probably saved us $100,000 in legal alone, just because of been there, done that. We're copying a lot of ways the business model that they have over there for a different target market. The structure, the candid conversations of what kind of, you know, getting me set to do the tough actions that we needed to do. You know, they built just a juggernaut at Developer Town. So we're just trying to, you know, amplify in any way they can the success that they have. And so that the ladder that they built for us to copy or to go up in the rungs that are in place are just have been invaluable. I can't imagine getting as far as we had. Like last night, we just closed on buying another business. Never would have been there without that.
That's awesome. What I love about what you said is, so you've had many great experiences, right? Very successful business owner. But you also haven't allowed your ego to get in your way. That a couple times, right? You've mentioned that there's other people who are smarter in certain areas, and you're leveraging those people. So, how, just for the purpose of the audience, how do you get over, you know, we all have our egos, right? We've all got our pride. So how do you push that aside to welcome that input and benefit from others' experience?
Yeah. Well, I think you got to want success more than you want to breathe, right? I mean, the only way to the only reason to start a business is to do something big. The risk is too great. You might as well get a job and work for somebody else. The financial risk I mean, I've lost everything twice, you know, and started over. And if the upside is not big enough, you know, starting a business just to be your own boss is a fallacy anyways, right? So you've got to set out to build a system that can scale and go way beyond you, because if not, the risk is not worth it, right? So that, I think, is one of the first things you got to decide as a business owner. I'm going to do something big. I need to figure out how to solve a big problem, because if not, it's not worth it. And if you find something that's worth it, then you should put everything on the table and be willing to pay the price. And 90% of the price is getting out of your own way. It's the 6 inches in between your ears, right? And that really is where the ego has to be, you know, sacrificed as a lamb, almost daily, because it will get in the way. I know there's a young entrepreneur in town that we both know that I think is starting to hit that, right? It's like it was almost too successful too fast, and they got to a place where they're starting to believe their own hype, and that's where, you know, that's where somebody like you or I who've been there and lost everything and started over could really kind of breathe some insight into somebody's life on getting that humility back, because that's the barrier that gets you from going to where you really want to go.
Yeah, you mentioned about it being too hard, and I love that perspective, because the transition from from being an employee to self-employed is a significant step, right? And oftentimes people go in without their eyes wide open, and they think that because they can do it in the corporate world, that it's going to be very easy, you know, to do it on their own. And then very quickly they realize, oh my goodness, there's about 1,000 things that I don't even know that I don't know that's required to be a business owner. And unfortunately, a lot of folks end up making a whole lot less, you know, as a business owner, and working a whole lot more. So,
we used to call that Lilified, right? They worked at Lilly, and they were a director, and they're making $250,000 a year, and then they set out to start their own business,
Yeah.
and they do 50 grand the first year, right? And and I remember we've had many conversations with people that have been in business 2-3 years. And they go, I used to make this and I make that. I go, well, your business grew 40% a year for the last 3 years. That sounds great to me.
Right.
Your business has no flying care of whatever about what your salary used to be. It either knows this or it knows this,
Yeah.
right? And that's hard when the ego's been attached to an income.
Yeah.
Right, to assigning that value, and lifestyle that afforded.
Yeah.
So I just think that's the when I was coaching, that was the first conversation we had fiercely. It's like, the truth about money, right? I mean, we're getting what value we create in this world. If we don't like it, we need to create more value.
Yes. Yeah. I had my hand politely slapped by a fellow coach late last week, because I was talking about that similar thing of, hey, my income is not where I wanted it to be based on the corporate world, and the polite slap was, Tim, you're within the top 100 coaches in the world. Stop complaining, right? And if you want more, do what you were just talking about, right? Get out there and build the business, right? We can be blinded by the corporate world and all the safety nets of the corporate world, and not realize the success that we're seeing today.
Yeah. Well, that income is a seduction, right? It's to rent your time from you. And that's really the ultimate expression, is like, are we is our time being bought, or are we leveraging our time to create more value? And that's why we set off to do these things called businesses. It's also why, go back to that, you got to go big. You have to decide that this is going to be scalable, or else you just bought a job and you work for a crazy person that treats you like shit.
Right. Love it. So Tony, who are 3 people, if I said to pick 3 people that have had an impact in your business over the years, allowed you to achieve the growth that you're seeing, who would those 3 people be?
Yeah, I would say early on it was CJ McClanahan, Lorraine Ball, Mike Finnegan, the guys who helped us start Rainmakers, Doug Edge, of course. Then later it turned into David Miller, who's my COO, and Michael Kelly, in this business. Have been dynamic. Not to plug your own horn or toot your own horn, just helping us, follow the discipline of being in process of coaching. I mean, that's it. The other thing is just the process of having someone else look at the business and execute systemically, is against those 2-week sprints. It forces you to look at the business. I mean, I think the slippery slope is in that slight edge goes negative as well as goes positive, right? So you can bleed to death in 1,000 paper cuts because you're not looking at the business strategically, systemically, right? So those are the people that just made the biggest impact. We all need to reach out and thank God most of those people are on speed dial. And I know Lorraine just sold her business, so congrats. She got down to a product offering, so that's been some good things have come out of that.
Awesome. Well, we will make sure to recognize those people. What I want to do when we post this, Tony, is get you to tag them all in this post, that they can hear you appreciating them through this podcast. So let's think about the future. When you look at the next 3 to 5 years, what are the biggest challenges that you feel that you're going to face in order to hit your goals? And what type of people are you going to need in your circle to help you solve those challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we there's 2 specific humans I'm looking for. One is we want to find a venture firm that understands our go-to-market, our hypothesis, and buys in it, and can see help and seed some of the spin-off companies that come out of our model. Two, we're looking for entrepreneurs in training or C-level executives in training that can come into these MVP concept companies that we've built and take them out, right? Be the person that goes faces the the angel funding, the venture capitalists, raise that we do, because that's really what we are as an accelerator at our base core. Is we're exchanging services for equity pieces of new companies that are solving new problems. So those are finding and building a pipeline for those two types of people are really what we're looking for the next 3 to 5 years.
Tell me more about that entrepreneur and training role. That sounds very unique and just an amazing opportunity for someone who wants to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so High Alpha, they're doing something really similar. They build their own concept and they find a young Turk that is driven and and brilliant and can take and can sell, right, and can face the perils that go along with fundraising and incubating a business. And so our model is really similar to that. Where we differ is we've partnered with a company who thinks there's a problem big enough that they're trying to solve, and we build the MVP with them, and then we spin it out into a new company. So we've already done problem identification, and we need to find somebody that has a network in that background or has some expertise, and then fits that young driven human that can face the perils of fundraising, right? So and incubating a business. So it's really similar to that, but slightly different in how we get there.
Yeah, fantastic, awesome. So Jim Rohn, we all have heard his quotes, and many of us have read his books. But the one that I love is that we'll become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with.
Right.
So as you reflect on that, Tony, is that something that scares you, or is it something that you're excited about? How would you think about that as it relates to your business?
Yeah, I bought into that big time, right? I think I'm constantly working on that, and unfortunately, sometimes I've gone through and fired some of the people that I used to spend time with, right? Because of this very fact, right? So I am striving to improve, but we've with what we have now, our immediate network, and who we're spending time with, by our model is like we're bringing in LPs that are helping us leverage to create new value, and we're constantly looking for new people that are helping us do that. So yeah, I feel good about it, but always striving to get better.
Yeah. One of the things I hear from folks is, "Hey, Tim, I can't necessarily find 5 people," and the advice I give back is, "Well, can't you read a book, or can't you watch a video online? It doesn't have to be a physical person, right? There's other ways to surround yourself with people who are smarter than us." Would you say?
Well, and I think people say that. I think it's an excuse, right? It's so easy to send someone a complimentary email that said, "I've always admired what you've done in the community and in your business, and really love to get to know you. Mind if I can buy you a cup of coffee?" That email doesn't get sent enough, right? And I think we're worried that someone will ignore it, or it's a numbers game, right? You'll catch somebody at the right time where that's a good that come off as a great compliment. They needed to hear it, and they'll give you that time. Yeah. So I think that is like I think one of the things we can do is take that excuse away to everybody that's part of this that part of this program.
Yeah. I know that's how we met. I reached out and you said yes to a cup of coffee, and here we are, right, having multiple different interactions, and you've helped me a ton with my marketing and stuff. So who's somebody in your life that you did that similar approach to, of ask for a coffee and they took you up on it?
Man, I think Kelly, literally that's how we got to know each other. We were I don't know even know how we just were in the similar similar veins. And I mentioned that, like we had similar backgrounds and seemed like we, I had this concept and I kind of pitched it to him and, but yeah, it started a pretty much a cold call. I mean, we knew of each other, but we didn't, we weren't, and now we're business partners. So, yeah, I think it's, once you profile what you're trying to accomplish and you make a list of those people that you need to get to know to get there, I mean, then it's like, there's a way to get to all those people. Right. And a lot of times there's have you ever heard a book called The Third Door? Right. There's the front door that everybody pays to get into and you got to wait in line. Right. And then there's the back door that, there's the other door that costs even a greater premium because
right.
you're, and then there's the fact that, the chef to get into the back of the restaurant and you ping him on his cell phone and he lets you in, at the right time. So there's, I've always tried to figure out what the third door was to get to the people I'm trying to meet. So, I think that's part of it is just making up your mind and figuring out how to, like a squirrel trying to get into a bird.
Yeah. I love what you said about just get rid of your excuses. Don't let them be what's holding you back from success.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
last question here, Tony. If something catastrophic was to happen to your business, what's the first call you'd make and who would that person be that you would be calling?
Yeah, it'd be to Dave and Michael, right? The first two, right in partners meeting, we would now Josh, right? So that would be, we rally around that. We're pretty good about having those kind of conversations daily. We use, traction as a methodology. We use you as a coach, and we're systemically working on the business. So hopefully we avoid those things. But I mean, it's a new world, as we've figured out in the last couple of years. So, as catastrophic things can't happen. I think worst case scenario planning is you set an intention and plan for the best, but you also need to walk through those kind of war planning, conversations. Say, what do we do if we got to live on half the revenue, right?
Yes.
And you need to have those conversations with yourself so you have a plan and they're prepared to do so.
Yeah. So Tony, it sounds like you've been blessed with a number of people in your business journey that have been there for you to help you out. What would you like to say to them today?
Hey, thank you. Right. I mean, appreciate sometimes a cup of coffee or a phone call and a text has made all the difference in the world. I used to say in coaching, sometimes you got to borrow belief, that other people have in you, because you don't have enough in yourself, to step up to whatever, God has laid on your heart to do. And I think that's a big thing. It's like, you got you got this conversations that we had, or the ones that, the really good conversations where you got a rock in your gut because you got to do something and you make a decision to do it and you don't want to. Those are the ones that made all the impact in the world.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show today, Tony. I appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure spending a few minutes with you and hearing your story, and more importantly, just understanding the people who have been impactful in your business career, and appreciate you giving them a shout out on the show and thanking them for the value that they provided for you. For everyone listening, thank you for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, listening to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast. I'm your host, Tim Campsell. Be sure to spread the word of this movement. We would love to have the opportunity to talk to others who have had influential people in their life and help them be successful. Go ahead and share this video on social media for us to help us spread the movement, or you can visit us at bemadtogether.com. Again, thanks for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.